What if I told you that your wife not feeling emotionally safe has nothing to do with one big mistake that you made? Most men think their wife doesn't feel safe because they've done something wrong. They assume it was one big thing that has to be obvious. So they start scanning their past for this mistake and think, if I can just fix what I did, she's going to feel safe again. But the truth is, women don't lose emotional safety because of one obvious thing that you did. They lose it because of the way they feel around you. So in this video, I'm going to help you understand what real emotional safety is and break down 4 subtle things that you might be doing right now that is eroding emotional safety with your wife and sending you down a path where she completely disconnects for good. It is so easy for men to misunderstand what emotional safety really means. Honestly, for a long time in my love life, I thought it meant that I have to be nicer and I just can't disagree with her and I need to just soften everything and avoid conflict. Now, this type of thinking got me into a whole bunch of relationship trouble. That was an overwhelmingly frustrating experience for over a decade. But those things I mentioned above don't actually contribute to emotional safety. Yeah, like you want to be nice and not a jackass, but just being nice and not disagreeing with her doesn't create the emotional safety you think it does. Safety is not you walking on eggshells or suppressing your opinions. And I had to learn the very hard way that it is not becoming emotionally soft and overly accommodating. Safety is created through emotional steadiness. That's it. I'm not trying to make it oversimplified, but the reality is the core of emotional safety is not about you being passive, it's about you being stable. Yes, there are ways to communicate impactfully as well, but none of those communication techniques are useful if you're not able to be stable. She's only going to feel emotionally safe when the emotional ground underneath her feels solid. You have the responsibility as the man to provide that rock solid ground for her. When your mood doesn't swing unpredictably and your presence doesn't feel tense, that is what helps, through obviously doing it consistently, it helps build up her trust in you. It's about her nervous system not having to brace itself around you. You can be the nice guy overall, but if your internal state is unsettled and you don't have conviction in yourself as a leader, it can cause her internal belief in you to start to disappear over time. So on that note, let me break down the 4 things that some of you may not even realize you are doing them, but they're going to erode emotional safety in her over time. Number 1 is emotional volatility. This is when you're basically a yo-yo emotionally. Your emotions go up and down, and most of the time your mood is shifting based on how hers is. So if she's being warm, you're good, you can relax. But if she's being distant, this is when you start to tense up immensely. You don't even have to show these dramatically, but she's going to be able to feel it around you. So when your emotional state is dependent on hers, the whole relationship feels unstable. That emotional responsibility is slowly being shifted into her corner and away from yours if that's what you're doing. So now she's going to sense that if she is having a bad day, you're going to completely crumble based on that. If she's unsure about something, you're going to start to panic a bit internally because you sense her mood. And if she pulls back a little bit, you sense it like a bloodhound and you start chasing right after her, trying to fix anything to do with her. Do you see how when you're approaching it this way, and I know from when I was doing it, it came almost natural to me as breathing air is. There's no ill intention behind it, but do you see how if you step back, doing these things does not create any safety for her? And even if you are well intended, this volatility based on the pendulum of her emotion is going to cause you a whole bunch of problems. The second thing you might be doing right now to damage her emotional safety with you is that you're dependent on the outcome. You say you're trying to be better, but underneath the trying is a quiet need that is dying for her validation. You need her to respond and validate your effort, and you feel like quitting trying if you don't see any signs that it's working. What I mean by trying is, okay, you do something thoughtful or you really try to change your behavior, but you do it wanting a reaction from her and you're scanning improvement in her response to you. That subtle attachment to getting that outcome starts to create pressure on her, and it has this underlying stench, even if you don't say it out loud, that she can smell. And it feels like you are telling her, please let this work, please respond, please notice me. And she's going to feel anxious energy coming from you. This is huge, but it's so misunderstood because, look, you have an obvious want. You want an outcome where your relationship is better and you both feel happy in it. And that's okay. So you may be thinking, am I not allowed to want that outcome? Of course you are. That is why you are here. But when your actions are coming from this emotional desperation of wanting that specific outcome instead of internal conviction of who you are or who you are striving to become, they're going to land negatively on her and take you further away from that outcome ever happening. The third thing men do that is very hard to admit, and I found it very hard to admit this when I was trying everything I could to save my failed relationships, but it's the development of passive resentment. You're trying and doing your best to become calm and intentional. You believe you're working on yourself, but quietly you're keeping score. You're not seeing the results you would expect from her. She's still being distant. She hasn't really softened for you. So it's easy for part of you to think that she's punishing you because it can be super obvious the work you're putting in. And you're slowly building up this thinking of, where's her effort? So you may not say it out loud, but it starts to leak out in your tone or random frustrated sighs that you do, and in the way you might start to become colder after not getting the response you hoped for in the time that you expected. So passive resentment feels unsafe because it is incredibly unpredictable and it creates emotional landmines. She's not going to have any clue when that effort is going to turn into frustration and when your patience is going to flip into disappointment. If you are trying to do the right thing while you're secretly building a case against her internally, she's going to feel that tension. And the fourth thing is probably the most important one, and that is having an unclear direction. If you lose your internal direction and become lost, not knowing what you stand for, and your identity becomes very shaken, she's going to feel that immediately. All of that creates uncertainty, and it's going to build her confirmation bias about you because you are not grounded, and she's basically going to be standing next to someone who's still searching for who they are. And you can't give her something that you don't have. When you are grounded in who you are, and this is important, even if you're not 100% there yet, and you're still working on growing and becoming better, your presence will still feel steady to her if you have that clear direction. She doesn't feel safe because you're perfect, but you have to have the clear direction of who you want to be, and you are doing what is needed to become that person. Trying harder is not the same thing as being grounded. You can increase effort and also increase instability if that effort is coming from a place of fear. That's why some men exhaust themselves trying to do everything right, and the relationship still feels fragile. You have to stabilize yourself internally. Emotional consistency means your baseline stays steady. You have to stay anchored and be calm in your decision making. You don't make emotional decisions in reaction to relationship temperature. You don't threaten divorce in a heated moment, and you don't spiral into dramatic shifts. You have to be moving deliberately. And when you do it, it creates predictability in a good way. And through that predictability, safety can be created. And if you want to go deeper on learning how to rebuild trust when she feels unsafe with you, check out this video right here. If you recognize that your wife doesn't feel emotionally safe right now, it doesn't mean you've failed beyond repair. It does mean your internal state has likely been shaken. And when that happens, your relationship suffers greatly. And that's what this entire process is really about, realizing the need to become the leader of your relationship. Being able to create emotional safety and be the masculine leader is what creates a healthy connection and raises her attraction for you again. In my free masterclass, I show you exactly how to stabilize yourself internally so that these 4 patterns stop sabotaging your marriage. I break down the full framework. I teach men who are on the brink of divorce or separation, including how to rebuild safety, attraction, and trust. So go watch the entire free relationship rebuild masterclass. And if that resonates with you, you're going to have the option to work with me further to really speed up the transformation process and give you all the skills needed to lead her back to you naturally. Click the link in the description or pinned comment below to watch that masterclass today. If this video helped you see things from a different perspective, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel as well. I'll catch you in the next episode.